Welcome, people of planet Earth and all planets beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Josh, and welcome to Heat Check. This is our bi-weekly look at the top 10 highest selling vintage denim items on eBay. Let's get into it. All right, kicking us off at number 10, we have this vintage 1960s 501. Beautiful pair. Here you can see that the previous wearer or owner rolled up their pant legs there with that little crease. Beautiful fade, some nice whiskering on this pair of jeans. It's like in really cool wash and fade here from age. Obviously the selvage. There's that seam, the roll-up seam, which started to fray, which is not unusual. Here we have the every garment guaranteed patch, giving us an idea that this is probably from the early 60s, the earlier part of the 60s. But a beautiful pair of jeans right here for sure. One of the better looking 501s we've seen, just from the feel and look of the denim itself. We have some cool wear here on the thighs as well. But this one sold for $14.99. Next up, we have a Lee entry to the list. It says 1920s, but I've checked it out. It looks like it's probably more like 1940s and 1950s era. But it's still super cool. We've got the Sanfordized pinstripe railroad engineer jacket. This is such a cool vibe. Obviously these are harder to come by, especially being so old, but still so cool. The house logo here, well, there's the buttons, but the house logo here on the label is pretty sought after, and probably makes up a little bit of the value here on this garment. But super cool Lee garment here. I'm glad we have a Lee garment making the list, and this one sold for $1,584. Super cool. All right, next up we have this vintage Big E Type 3. This is really interesting. This is an earlier Type E. Obviously looks like it's in pristine condition. Like, look at this, incredible. Everything, I mean, it's practically dead stock. Size 40, the 557 lot number on this one. This one's got an unusual stamp you don't normally see here. It's a rarer stamp. It has some different stitching that you normally see. So this is a pretty rare piece, which is why it went for what it did. Obviously, we see some of these Type 3s come in, and nowhere near this price at least. But because of the rare design changes, this was a short-lived version of this, and plus the condition lets this one make the list at $2,000 as a final sale price. Pretty amazing jacket. Then we have a really interesting one here. This is not a brand. I don't even know if there is a brand, to be honest. This is sold by a pawn shop in Memphis. But this is a denim shirt, jacket, whatever you want to call it, button up. Apparently, according to the provenance on this item, was purchased for Sonny West by Elvis himself. Apparently, here's a picture. You can actually see him wearing the shirt jacket. And then there's Elvis back there in the background as well. But it is denim. It probably is some sort of third-party thing. Not a brand well known for anything specifically, but it's a vibe, right? And of course, with the celebrity appeal, with the provenance, apparently, that definitely makes this a desirable piece for collectors. And you know what? They paid up for it this time. They paid $2,250.87 for this, and it appears to have probably gone out of state or out of the country. But super interesting piece here. It is denim, so it does qualify. Next up, we have this beautiful Type 2 1950s denim jacket. This one is incredible. It's beautiful, deep color here. The pleats are intact. This is an excellent condition. You don't see these that often, and if you do, they often make the list here because of their condition. You have the rivets there and the wrist. Really, this is, obviously probably not dead stock, but One of the best versions that you could probably find out there, with such good color left in it and such very little wear. I don't believe, did they show us the inside? I don't believe they show us the inside, but I don't see a patch, but it's hard to tell if the patch is actually there. I would imagine if there was the patch, they would have included it. Either way, a beautiful example of the Type 2 denim jacket. This one sold for $2,300. Now back-to-back Type 2s here, but this one is a little bit different because it is blanket lined. The blanket lining here, these are hard to come by, especially with the blanket lining actually intact. This one looks like it's also in really good condition. Though I wonder, let's see how the size is on here. We're looking like at about a 42 chest on here. Anyway, a super great looking jacket. Obviously the blanket lining adds some value because it does make it a bit rarer, but pretty good condition. Looks like maybe one pleat is broken, but generally pretty close to the last one we just saw. And so the price was only a little bit more than the previous one at $2,400. All right, next up we have a really interesting one here. It just says World War One Denim. They had it up for auction, and they didn't even complete the auction because they got a best offer. Here we have World War One Denim. It turns out I actually know who sold this. Almost bought a bunch of stuff from them, but we have this pretty rare World War One denim coat. I have had some people look at this one. It does appear that it's period. An incredible piece. It's a shirt and a jacket combination, so get 2 for 1, so pretty cool there. Had I known this was in that lot, I probably would have made a bigger offer. But anyway, beautiful piece right here. And it's something you don't see every day, so it's nice to see some more unusual items here. This was a U.S. Navy issue, I believe. I think we can find a button here. Yeah, this right here says, I think it says U.S. Navy. It is a better button picture somewhere. I could have swore I saw it. Anyway, beautiful. Yeah, I think you see the Navy in there. U.S. Navy. Anyway, either way, incredible piece right here. Piece of history, over 100 years old. So fantastic. This one went for $2,500. Congratulations to the buyer and the seller in this case. Next up, we have the third Type 2 denim jacket, but this one a little older and a little bit more detail that adds some value. Here we have the jerky tag, which is I think the picture they started off with, which makes sense because these are so rare to come by. But we have the Type 2. It looks like it's in pretty good condition. Maybe that's a hole right there. The pleats look intact. It's got some pretty cool fading on it. The blanket lining tag is still intact, which is incredible. It's got that different color blanket lining. This is from the earlier 50s for sure with the jerky tag. This is an incredible piece. You don't see these very often at all, especially in this condition with the label in the back on. So that really was what sets this one apart. This one sold for $2,600. All right, at number 2, we have a really interesting one. The celebrity appeal continues. We have this 1940s vintage Wrangler Bluebell denim shirt owned by Gene Autry. Look at this. Incredible. I don't think those are pearl snaps, but they do look like maybe like a mother of pearl. Here we have the Bluebell Wrangler logo. Everything looks good, looks fine. Apparently the provenance on this is that it was actually sold previously out of a Gene Autry collection in 1989. And so this is that lot being resold years later. What an incredible piece. The celebrity pieces obviously add more value than the actual item would get itself. I imagine this would sell pretty high by itself if it was not for Gene Autry, but still being bought by and owned by Gene Autry does make a difference. Super cool. This one sold for $3,050 with 35 bids. Congratulations. So quickly, if you enjoy this channel and the content we create, you can help us make even more by joining and becoming a member by clicking the join button down below. That's just $2.99 a month and helps us make more content, and also gets you exclusive access to a members only live stream every week on Thursdays around 4 o'clock, where I go over everything that I have bought that week. Literally hundreds of items most of the time, so lots of interesting stuff comes through, and you get a chance to see what I paid for, what I expect to make from it, and some of the history behind the pieces that I find. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel by watching and becoming members. We appreciate it greatly. Alright, at number 1, we have a pair of 501s from 1947, apparently. I don't know if they know that exactly, but either way, this condition is incredible. Look how deep the blues are. The photos are a little dark, so it's hard to exactly tell, but still pretty good all in all. Does not have its patch, which is unfortunate, but still beautiful. You can actually, you can see where the patch was at one time. Go down here, you can see that it is a one-sided tab rather than the more typical two-sided tabs, letting us know that it is particularly old. This one is one of the best specimens of a 1940s pair of 501s that we have ever seen. Let's see, do they have measurements? They have measurements 30 by 28, which is a pretty good size all in all. Fantastic pair of jeans. Definitely deserves the number 1 spot this week. Sold for $3,500. Congratulations to the seller. Congratulations to the buyer of such an incredible pair of Levi's history this week. So that was the top 10, and I know that we recently added other and opened it up for other brands to be on this list, not just Levi's. But of course, Levi's is probably going to dominate most of the time just because Levi's has the most following and is in the most demand, but it is cool to see some Wrangler and Lee on the list as well. Hopefully we'll see some more down the line. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and please remember to like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.